What if the key to unlocking every cage that holds your mind captive was not a complex philosophy, but a series of simple, powerful questions? The ancient Stoics knew that the right question, asked with courage and honesty, is more powerful than any answer. This video will give you 7 of their most potent questions to dismantle your fears and set your mind free. 7 questions to free your mind. Stoic Strategy, Inner Bravery, compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. What truly holds you back? Imagine a magnificent, powerful eagle, born with the strength to soar into the heavens, to ride the thermal currents, and to view the world from a perspective of breathtaking freedom. Yet, this majestic creature remains on the ground, tethered to a small, ordinary perch by a single, thin, almost invisible thread. It possesses all the power it needs to snap the thread and claim its birthright in the sky. But it remains grounded, held captive not by a great iron chain, but by a simple, familiar, and unexamined attachment. We are all that eagle. We harbor soaring ambitions and a deep, intuitive sense of our own potential. We want to start the business, write the book, heal the relationship, or become the calm, courageous person we know we can be. Yet so often, we find ourselves stuck, pacing in frustrated circles on the ground, feeling an invisible but immensely powerful resistance holding us back from the life we were meant to live. The great problem is that we almost always blame external factors for our inertia. We look for the great iron chain out there that explains why we are grounded. We tell ourselves we lack the time, the money, the right connections, or the ever-elusive perfect opportunity. We construct elaborate and convincing narratives about how the world and our circumstances are conspiring to keep us tethered. But the profound and sometimes difficult truth, as the Stoics teach, is that the chain is almost always internal. We are held back not by our external reality, but by our own limiting beliefs, our unexamined fears, our deep-seated assumptions about ourselves and the world, and our comfortable attachment to the familiar perch. We are the eagle, held captive by a thread we refuse to see. The transformative solution is to begin with the first, most fundamental Stoic question. What truly holds me back? This question, when asked with radical honesty, is a lantern in the darkness. It forces you to turn your gaze away from the distracting landscape of external excuses and to look inward, to the source of your own self-imposed limitations. It is the courageous act of identifying the specific thought, the core belief, or the hidden fear that is the true, gossamer-thin thread tethering you to the ground. The Stoics taught that the chief cause of our unhappiness, our fear, and our inaction lies not in the world, but in our own judgments and opinions about the world. The external reality is just a collection of neutral facts. It is our internal interpretation of those facts that creates the cage. By asking this first question, you begin the process of identifying the specific judgment that is holding you back. And once a judgment is identified, it can be questioned, challenged, and ultimately dismantled. Asking this question is the act of finally seeing the thread. The moment you see it, you realize how thin and fragile it truly is. You discover that the cage door was never locked, and that you have always possessed the strength to break free. This question replaces a vague, disempowering feeling of victimhood with a clear, actionable target for your efforts. Your practice is to conduct an inward investigation. Take a major goal or an area of your life where you feel stuck and stagnant. Take out your journal and write at the top of the page, what truly holds me back from your specific goal? Then answer with ruthless honesty. Do not accept your first, easy, external answer. Keep asking why, like a relentless detective, drilling down past the surface excuses until you strike the bedrock of the core internal belief. For example, I'm not starting my business because I don't have enough startup capital. Why is that holding you back? Because I'm afraid to take a financial risk and ask others to invest. Why? Because I believe that if I fail, I will not only lose money, but I will be seen as a failure, confirming my own deep-seated fear that I am not truly good enough. That final sentence, that is the thread. As you practice this inward investigation, you will feel a profound shift from being a victim of your circumstances to being the architect of your life. This question empowers you by revealing again and again that the point of power, the place from which real change can be enacted, is always within you. This week, be the courageous investigator of your own soul. Ask this question about one important area of your life. Find the thread. Once you identify what truly holds you back, you will very often find that the thread is woven from the opinions and judgments of other people. This leads us directly to our next deeply liberating question, a question that cuts to the very heart of our social fears and our need for approval. Before we explore it, if you are committed to breaking your own threads, show your support by liking this video and subscribing to Stoic Power. Lesson 2. Who decides your worth today? Imagine a magnificent, masterfully cut diamond. Its value is intrinsic. It is a product of its own unique structure, its clarity, its resilience, its ability to reflect light. Now, imagine this diamond being passed around a crowded marketplace. One person who knows nothing of gems declares it to be a worthless piece of glass. Another, who is jealous, declares it to be flawed and ugly. A third, who is in a hurry, doesn't even bother to look at it. Does any of this change the intrinsic nature of the diamond? Does the opinion of the crowd alter its fundamental structure or its ability to shine? Of course not. The diamond's worth is inherent and self-contained. The Stoics teach that your character, your soul, your inner self, what they called the hegemonikon or ruling faculty, is that diamond. Your task is to realize this and to stop handing it over to the marketplace for valuation. The great painful inner conflict that plagues so many of us is that we have outsourced the valuation of our own worth. We walk through the world with an invisible scorecard, constantly looking to others to tell us our score. We crave the approval of our boss, the admiration of our peers, the validation of strangers on social media, the acceptance of our family. Our sense of well-being rises and falls with every passing comment, every like, every perceived slight or compliment. This makes our inner life a deeply unstable and terrifying place. We have made our own sense of worth entirely dependent on a chaotic, unreliable, and often illogical external source. We have given the crowd in the marketplace the power to decide the value of our own diamond, and so we live in constant fear of their judgment. The transformative solution is to ask yourself every single day the second liberating Stoic question: who decides my worth today? This question is a powerful declaration of self-sovereignty. It is the act of consciously and deliberately revoking the power you have given to others and reclaiming it for yourself. It is the decision to base your worth not on the fluctuating opinions of the marketplace, but on the solid, unchanging bedrock of your own character and your commitment to living virtuously. The core Stoic idea is that your worth as a human being is determined not by what others think of you, not by your reputation, your wealth, or your status, but solely by the quality of your own choices and actions. Are you striving to be honest, courageous, just, and wise today? If so, you have immense worth, regardless of whether anyone else notices or applauds it. The benefit of internalizing this question is the cultivation of a quiet, unshakable self-respect that is immune to both praise and criticism. You become the diamond, shining with your own light, not a mirror merely reflecting the opinions of others. Your actionable step is to make this question a daily practice. Each morning, as you prepare for your day, look at yourself in the mirror and ask the question aloud: who decides my worth today? And then answer it aloud with unwavering conviction: I do. You must then define what a worthy day will look like for you, based entirely on your own internal controllable metrics. For instance, today my worth will be determined by my effort, not the outcome. It will be determined by my honesty, not by others' agreement. It will be determined by my kindness, not by whether it is reciprocated. You are creating your own internal scorecard. By practicing this daily declaration, you will begin to sever the chains of your dependence on external validation. You will find that you can move through the world with a new sense of freedom and confidence. Less concerned with impressing others and more focused on expressing the best version of yourself. You will become a source of your own approval, which is the only approval you will ever truly need. Your call to action is to be the sole appraiser of your own diamond. For the next 7 days, begin each morning with this question and this declaration: reclaim your power. We have now reclaimed the power to define our own worth. But even so, the fear of judgment can linger. This brings us to our third powerful question, which directly confronts this deep-seated social fear. To continue your journey to inner bravery, please comment below with your own answer to "Who decides my worth today?" And be sure to subscribe to Stoic Power. Lesson 3. Why do you fear judgment? Imagine you are an archer standing on a practice field. Your goal is to shoot your arrow with the best possible form, with a steady hand, a clear eye, and a clean release. Now, imagine that surrounding the field are spectators, each shouting their own contradictory advice. "Aim higher," yells one. "Aim lower," yells another. "You're holding the bow all wrong," shouts a third. If you were to try to please all of them, your shot would be a confused, pathetic failure. You would lose your own form, your own focus, and your own integrity. The wise archer knows that he must tune out the noise of the crowd and focus only on the fundamentals of his own technique. He must trust his own training and his own process. The judgments of others are that noisy, contradictory crowd. The deep and persistent inner conflict that holds so many of us back is this profound fear of judgment. We are social creatures, and the fear of being criticized, ostracized, or shamed is wired deep into our evolutionary psychology. This fear dictates so many of our choices. We don't speak up in the meeting for fear of saying something foolish. We don't pursue our true passion for fear that our friends and family will disapprove. We filter our true selves, presenting a carefully curated, safe version to the world, all in an attempt to avoid the sting of negative judgment. We are the archer, constantly adjusting our aim to please the crowd, and as a result, we consistently miss our own target. The transformative solution is to turn the lens of reason onto the fear itself by asking the third powerful Stoic question: why do I fear judgment? This question is not about shaming yourself for having the fear, but about investigating its foundations with genuine curiosity. When you dissect this fear, you begin to realize how illogical it truly is. The core Stoic idea that dismantles this fear is twofold. First, the judgments of other people are entirely outside of your control. You can no more control their thoughts than you can control the weather. To base your peace of mind on something so uncontrollable is a recipe for perpetual anxiety. Second, and more profoundly, the judgments of others have no power to harm your true self, your character. Another person's opinion, no matter how harsh, cannot make you a less honest, less courageous, or less kind person. Only your own actions can do that. Therefore, their judgment is ultimately irrelevant to your actual worth. The benefit of this logical dissection is that the fear of judgment begins to seem absurd. You realize you have been giving immense power to something that is both uncontrollable and ultimately harmless to your inner self. You become the archer who tunes out the crowd and focuses on his own form. Your actionable step is a meditative journaling exercise. Take a specific fear of judgment that is currently active in your life. In your journal, answer the following questions with as much detail as possible. 1. Whose specific judgment do I fear? Name the person or group. 2. What is the specific negative thing I am afraid they will think or say? Write out the feared judgment verbatim. 3. If they did think or say that, what would be the actual practical consequence in my life? Would it be truly catastrophic or just unpleasant? 4. Can their opinion change my character or prevent me from acting with virtue? 5. Why am I giving the thoughts inside someone else's head more power than the commitment to my own values. This exercise will systematically dismantle the fear. It will expose it as a paper tiger. You will see that you have been terrified of a phantom, of a series of thoughts that exist only in another person's mind and have no real power over you, unless you grant it to them. Your motivational practice this week is to be the wise archer. Perform this exercise on your greatest fear of judgment. Tune out the noise of the crowd and reclaim your focus on what truly matters, your own virtuous action. We are learning to free ourselves from the opinions of others, but we are often also held captive by our own attachments. Our next question is a powerful tool for loosening the grip of our own desperate clinging. To learn this art of release, make sure you are subscribed and have liked this video to show your support for our mission. Lesson 4. What if you let go? Consider a mighty ship at anchor in a harbor. The anchor holds it fast, providing security against the tides. But if the captain wishes to sail to new lands to fulfill the ship's very purpose, that anchor must be raised. If the captain remains too attached to the perceived safety of the anchor, the ship will never leave the harbor. It will simply sit and rust, its potential for adventure and discovery unrealized. Many of our fears, our anxieties, and our sources of suffering are like that anchor. They are our attachments to specific outcomes, to material possessions, to our reputation, and to our own rigid expectations of how life should be. We cling to these anchors, believing they provide us with security, while in reality, they are keeping us trapped in the harbor of our own limitations. The profound inner conflict that generates so much of our distress is this deep attachment to things that are ultimately outside of our control. We are attached to our plan working out perfectly. We are attached to other people behaving in the way we want them to. We are attached to our health and our wealth remaining constant forever. Because these things are, by their very nature, impermanent and uncontrollable, this attachment guarantees a life of anxiety, fear, and disappointment. We live in a constant low-grade fear of losing the things we cling to so tightly. We are the captain who is too afraid of the open sea to ever raise the anchor, and so we miss the entire voyage. The transformative solution is to regularly ask yourself the fourth, deeply liberating Stoic question: what if I let go? This question is an invitation to practice the art of strategic detachment. It is a mental rehearsal for loss. It involves contemplating, with a calm and rational mind, a future in which you do not have the thing you are clinging to, and realizing that you would in fact survive and could even flourish. The core Stoic idea behind this is the principle of amor fati, a love of one's fate. It is the wisdom to not only accept, but to embrace the reality of impermanence. The Stoics teach that the more tightly we grasp at things, the more we suffer when they inevitably change or disappear. By practicing letting go in our minds, we loosen our desperate grip. The benefit is a profound sense of lightness and freedom. When your happiness is no longer dependent on keeping all your anchors firmly lodged in the seabed, you are finally free to set sail and to navigate the unpredictable waters of life with grace and courage. Your actionable step is the practice of voluntary discomfort, a classic Stoic exercise. Choose one small comfort or attachment in your life. For a short, defined period of time, you are going to voluntarily let it go. For example, you might choose to sleep on the floor instead of your comfortable bed for one night. You might choose to fast for a day or to take a cold shower. Or, on a mental level, you might spend 10 minutes vividly imagining that you have lost a possession you are attached to. The goal is not to punish yourself, but to prove to yourself on an experiential level that you are more resilient than you think and that your well-being is not dependent on these external attachments. This practice will build your resilience and dramatically reduce your fear of loss. You will find that your appreciation for the things you have increases, while your fearful attachment to them decreases. You will become more adaptable, more courageous, and far less anxious. Your call to action for this week is to be the brave captain. Choose one small anchor to raise. Practice letting go and discover the freedom of the open sea. We are learning to let go of our attachments, which is a major step toward inner peace. But what if we made peace itself our ultimate goal? Our next question challenges us to make a conscious and deliberate choice for tranquility. To explore this vital question, please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel and share this video with a friend who needs to raise their anchor. Lesson 5. When will you choose peace? Imagine two neighbors living side by side. Their properties are constantly being littered with leaves and debris from a nearby park. The first neighbor spends his days in a state of constant agitation. He is always outside, frantically sweeping, complaining about the wind, and yelling at the trees. His life is a perpetual, exhausting battle against an uncontrollable force. He has no peace. The second neighbor also sees the leaves, but he has made a different choice. He has accepted the reality of the wind and the trees. He calmly sweeps his path once a day, and then he goes inside to read a book and enjoy his life. He has chosen peace over a pointless war with reality. Our minds are those properties, and the unpredictable events of life are the leaves from the park. The fundamental conflict that robs us of our tranquility is that we are constantly at war with reality. We are like the first neighbor. We argue with what is. We complain that things shouldn't be this way, that people should behave differently, that our plans shouldn't have been disrupted. We waste immense amounts of mental and emotional energy in a futile, exhausting struggle against the unchangeable nature of life. This internal resistance is the source of almost all our anger, our frustration, and our anxiety. We believe that peace is something that will happen to us one day, when all of our external circumstances finally align perfectly with our desires. The transformative solution is to realize that peace is not a destination. It is a choice. It is a choice that is available to you in every single moment, regardless of your external circumstances. The fifth powerful Stoic question forces this realization upon us. When will you choose peace? This question implies that peace is not something you wait for, but something you actively select. It is the conscious decision to stop arguing with reality, to accept what is outside of your control, and to focus on cultivating a state of inner tranquility. The core Stoic idea here is that our ruling faculty has the incredible power to remain undisturbed by external events, unless it creates a disturbance for itself. Peace is our natural state. Is the agitation, the resistance, and the argument with reality that is the unnatural, self-inflicted imposition. The benefit of asking this question is that it dissolves the illusion that your peace is dependent on anything outside of yourself. It returns the power to where it has always been, within you. You can choose to be the first neighbor, or you can choose to be the second. The choice is yours. Your actionable step is to use this question as a pattern interrupt. The next time you find yourself feeling angry, frustrated, or anxious, you must pause and ask yourself the question with genuine sincerity. In this exact moment, am I choosing war with reality, or am I choosing peace? You will almost always find that your distress is being caused by your own mental resistance to what is happening. In that moment of awareness, you can then make a new choice. You can consciously choose to release the resistance. You can take a deep breath and say to yourself, I accept this moment as it is. You are not saying you like it or approve of it, but you are ceasing your pointless and painful war against it. This practice will have a profound and immediate effect on your daily life. You will find yourself moving through challenges with a new sense of ease and grace. The small annoyances will no longer have the power to derail your day. You will conserve vast amounts of energy that were once wasted on futile resistance. Your call to action for this week is to be a peacemaker in your own mind. At every opportunity, ask yourself the question, when will I choose peace? And then make the choice. We have chosen peace. But to truly live a brave and effective life, we must also understand the nature of true power. Our next question challenges our conventional definitions of power and points us toward a more noble, Stoic understanding. To redefine your own power, please make sure you are subscribed to Stoic Power. Lesson 6. How do you define power? Imagine two emperors. The first emperor defines his power by the size of his territory, the gold in his treasury, and the fear he inspires in his subjects. His sense of power is entirely external. He lives in constant anxiety, terrified of losing his wealth, of being overthrown, of his reputation being tarnished. His power is a fragile, exhausting burden. The second emperor, an emperor like Marcus Aurelius, defines his power entirely differently. He defines it by his self-control, his discipline, his wisdom, his justice, and his ability to remain calm and rational in the face of any crisis. His power is entirely internal. It cannot be taken from him. It is a source of profound strength and tranquility. The deep inner conflict that often leads to fear and unhappiness is that we have adopted the first emperor's definition of power. We have been taught by our culture to measure our power by external metrics: our job title, our income, our social media following, our physical appearance, the car we drive. We chase these external markers, believing that they will make us feel powerful and secure. But this is a trap, because all of these things are external. They are fundamentally outside of our complete control and can be lost at any moment. This makes our quest for power a source of constant, gnawing anxiety. The more external power we accumulate, the more we have to fear losing. The transformative solution is to consciously reject the world's definition of power and to adopt the Stoic one. This requires asking the sixth vital question: how do I define power? This question prompts you to examine your own unconscious assumptions and to make a deliberate choice to align your definition with that of the Stoic sages. The core Stoic idea is that the only true power a human being can possess is the power over their own mind, the power to choose your response to any situation, the power to maintain your own virtue in the face of temptation, the power to remain tranquil amidst chaos. This is real power. Everything else is a fragile and fleeting substitute. The benefit of adopting this internal definition of power is that it puts you on a path that is entirely within your control. You can work on increasing your true power every single day, regardless of your external circumstances. This leads to an authentic and unshakable sense of self-worth and confidence. Your actionable step is to create a power manifesto. Take some time this week to write down your new Stoic definition of power. Be specific. Your manifesto might include statements like, true power is the ability to remain calm when others are panicking. True power is keeping my promises to myself. True power is responding to insults with grace rather than anger. True power is choosing my long-term well-being over short-term pleasure. Read this manifesto every morning. Let it reprogram your understanding of what it means to be a powerful person. As you begin to live by this new definition, you will find that your ambition shifts. You will become less interested in impressing others and more interested in improving yourself. Your fear of external loss will diminish, because you will know that your true power cannot be taken from you. Your motivational practice for this week is to be the second emperor. Write your power manifesto and begin to cultivate the only power that truly matters. We have now defined true power as an internal quality. This leads us to our final and perhaps most important question. It asks us to locate the very source of all courage and all bravery. To complete your journey and answer this final question, please like this video and subscribe to Stoic Power. Lesson 7. Where does bravery begin inside? Imagine a magnificent and ancient tree. Its strength is not in its leaves or even its branches, which may sway and break in a storm. Its true strength, its ability to endure for centuries, lies in its deep and hidden root system, which anchors it firmly to the earth. The visible bravery of the tree, its ability to stand tall against the wind, is merely an expression of its invisible, internal foundation. True human bravery is exactly the same. It is not a dramatic, outward display. It is a quiet, internal quality that begins deep within the root system of our own soul. The final inner conflict we must resolve on our path to a fearless life is the misconception that bravery is something that happens out there. We think of bravery as the heroic act on the battlefield, the courageous speech in front of a crowd, the daring physical feat. We see it as an action, a performance, because we see it as an external performance. It feels intimidating, rare, and accessible only to a special few. We tell ourselves, "I'm just not a brave person," because we have never performed a grand heroic act. We are waiting for the external crisis to test our bravery, without realizing that the real test and the real work is happening inside us every single day. The transformative solution is to ask the seventh and final Stoic question. Where does bravery begin inside? This question redirects our focus from the outward performance of courage to the inward cultivation of it. It asks us to find the root system. The Stoic answer is that bravery begins in the quiet, unseen moments of choice. It begins when you choose to get out of bed to face a difficult day. It begins when you choose to tell the truth when a lie would be easier. It begins when you choose to control your temper when provoked. It begins when you choose to practice your discipline when you feel lazy. These small internal victories are the soil in which all great bravery grows. The core idea is that bravery is a virtue, and a virtue is a habit built from thousands of small, consistent choices. You cannot be brave on the battlefield if you have not first been brave in your own mind. The benefit of this understanding is that it makes bravery accessible to everyone, every single day. You no longer have to wait for a crisis to prove your courage. You can build it, moment by moment, in the quiet laboratory of your own soul. Your actionable step is the practice of tracking small braveries. For 1 week, your mission is to notice and acknowledge the small internal acts of bravery you perform each day. At the end of each day, write down in your journal at least one instance where you chose a virtuous, disciplined, or courageous response over an easy, fearful, or reactive one. Perhaps you had a difficult conversation you had been avoiding. Perhaps you resisted a tempting indulgence. Perhaps you simply faced a feeling of anxiety without distracting yourself. Acknowledge these as the acts of bravery they truly are. This practice will completely reframe your understanding of courage. You will see that you are already far braver than you think you are. You will build a deep and authentic confidence based not on external achievements, but on the proven strength of your own character. You will be tending to the root system of your soul, ensuring that when the great storms of life do come, you will be able to stand as strong and unshaken as the ancient tree. Your final call to action is to be the courageous gardener of your own soul. Track your small braveries this week, and know that in doing so, you are cultivating the source of all true and lasting strength. You have now been armed with 7 powerful questions, a Stoic strategy for liberating your mind and awakening your inner bravery. By consistently asking what holds you back, who decides your worth, and where bravery begins, you dismantle the architecture of fear and build a fortress of inner peace and resilience. Thank you for dedicating your time to this journey of self-mastery. If these questions have illuminated your path, please honor the wisdom by liking this video, commenting with your own insights, and subscribing to the Stoic Power channel for more tools to live your strongest life.